Hi, I'm Christy from Frontier Wellbeing, and today's energy session is all about breathing. So far in your energy program, you've been introduced to your autonomic nervous system. I'm sure you remember what that is, but just to summarise, it's essentially the communication system between the brain and the body. It's constantly sending messages back and forth. And that's made up of two subsystems. If you remember, there's your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. And remember that those two systems are constantly competing for attention from the brain and the body. And what we know from science is that when that sympathetic nervous system, which is sometimes called your stress response system, is dominant, that you're expending energy. And that when your parasympathetic nervous system is dominant, which is sometimes called your recovery response, or the calm and controlled response, that you're renewing energy. And how do we know which one of those is dominant again? Well, remember, we know through heart rate variability, which is what we measured for you. So when your heart rate variability is low, then we know that you're expending energy because you're dominated by the sympathetic nervous system. And when your heart rate variability is high, then we know you're renewing energy because you're dominated by the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, you've learnt lots of different ways already to move that parasympathetic nervous system into the dominant position to improve your heart rate variability. But today we're really going to just talk about breathing. Because you might not know this, but the way that you breathe can completely change your performance state because it has a really big impact on your autonomic nervous system. When you're breathing short and shallow into the chest area like most of us are breathing these days, well, you're accidentally putting activity into your sympathetic nervous system because short and shallow breathing increases your heart rate, which decreases your heart rate variability, which changes the message in your sympathetic nervous system and moves you into an energy expenditure state. It kind of makes sense anyway, right? Because we breathe short and shallow mostly when we're in danger. And so the brain starts to think that short and shallow breathing is related to stress and getting the body ready to either fight or flight. Whereas when we breathe deep and diaphragmatically, diaphragmatic just means into the belly, then we put activity into the parasympathetic nervous system and we start to renew energy. So just by changing the way we breathe from short and shallow into our chest to deep and diaphragmatic into the belly, we can move ourselves from an energy expenditure state into an energy renewal state. And that's something that we're going to work on over the next few weeks and something that we're actually going to do right now. Now, for those of you who have had your results nearby, you might want to just quickly check as well and see what your average respiration rate was. Because if your average respiration rate was somewhere above 14, then you're accidentally putting activity into that sympathetic nervous system and expending more energy than you need to be. If you can shift that to a lower number, somewhere under 14, and actually ideally somewhere even down as low as 6, just 6 breaths a minute, then we know that we're putting a lot more activity into that parasympathetic nervous system and that we're recovering energy, renewing energy, even while we're awake. So thanks for listening, and now let's do some breathing together. So the first thing that I'd like you to do is to get yourself into a seated and upright position. So putting the feet flat on the floor, hands resting in your lap, and sitting upright. Don't rest your back against the seat because it's not a sleeping exercise. We actually still want to be awake while we're doing this. It's very much about controlling our physiology and our psychology. And then tilt your head slightly forward and closing your eyes. And now I want you to turn your attention to the breath. Breathing in slowly and rhythmically, and then breathing out slowly and rhythmically. And then on the next inhalation, imagine that there's a small balloon in your belly, and that as you inhale, that small balloon is inflating, and that as you exhale, that small balloon is slowly deflating. Breathing in, belly inflates. Breathing out, belly deflates. Breathing in, belly inflates. Breathing out, belly deflates. And now in your own time, I want you to just slowly and rhythmically breathe in and out of your belly. And I don't want you to be worried about any other noises in the background. The noise of the surf behind me, the noise of the dogs in the dog park, or even the construction. I want you to focus inwards, away from the distractions. Filling and emptying your belly. Knowing that you can do this activity anywhere, anytime, to increase the activity in your parasympathetic nervous system. Breathing in, belly inflates. Breathing out, belly deflates. And then when you're ready, slowly opening your eyes and coming back into the room. Now we just did that for a few minutes or so. And we're going to send you a guided meditation, mindfulness practice on diaphragmatic breathing that takes about 5 minutes that you can do in your own time anywhere. But there's lots of places that you can do diaphragmatic breathing. In fact, you could be belly breathing all the time. And that's what we really encourage you to do for the next few weeks as you change your breathing from short and shallow to deep and diaphragmatic and learn to renew energy anywhere, anytime. So thanks for listening and have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again soon.